Good day, everyone. Blessings. Thank you for tuning in on today's show. Now, within the Cauldron, we always like to make wishes and dreams to come true for our guests and for anybody else. And today, we're making those wishes and dreams come true. Um, we are we asked, I should say, we was asked for a private conversation with another guest, and we granted their wishes. So we would just get on with it. And sister, would you like to please introduce our guest?
Absolutely. Today we have Mark and Michelle. Well, actually, we need to bring, Mark and Michelle from across the pond. North Lincolnshire, UK, are the founders of Darkside Spirit Seekers. This is a special podcast linking these two together with our very special guest. Chrissy, I'll let you take it from there.
Oh, well, our special guest is no other than Chris McKinnell. And if you don't know who he is by now, you should. He is the grandson of the most famous Ed and Lorraine Warren. And we are very glad that he's a very good friend of ours. And this is dive in and get started. Mark, why don't you take it away and ask?
Oh, no pressure then, is there? You know, I just want to say thank you for taking time out to speak to us, Chris. It's a real honor and a pleasure. Thank you.
Oh, the honor's mine. Honestly, thank you.
You know, it's just funny, ironic actually, because I've just finished reading The Demonologist, and an absolute fantastic book to read. It really is. It shows a slight insight, obviously, to your grandparents, and I really enjoyed it. And I can't wait to read many more of their books.
That was actually a very good one. Gerald Brittle was a very good writer. He also did The Devil in Connecticut. I recommend that one.
Oh, yes. I think that'll be the next purchase then. It's, you know, it's yeah. Not very often I'm speechless, but it's obviously you're following in your grandparents' footsteps, which is admirable. What it really is. What they did to help the world, you know, in a dark place when they had attachments and things like that is phenomenal. What they did, and I'd love to be able to do something like that myself eventually, but you know, it takes a lot of heart to do what they did, and it must give you great pleasure to carry on that legacy. It really must.
It makes me very humbled. It really does. The opportunity to serve, to help others and who are struggling with the unknown is something I take very, very seriously.
I'm going to get straight into it. What is the darkest case you've ever done? If you can, you know, if you're allowed to comment on that. What's the one you thought, have I bitten off more than I could chew? And there's probably quite a few, probably. I don't know.
Yes, yeah. It's to narrow it down. It's cases where either the family won't help themselves, you know, where they're in such trouble. For instance, there was a case in Colorado. I've never talked about this case. It really bothered me, though. This was maybe 10 years ago. And the husband and wife, they were a young couple. They had a baby. They were struggling with drug addiction. Well, he was. And she was the one coming under attack. She was actually more vulnerable than he was. They had moved into this apartment. They had an infant. Things such as the baby would be moved from one room to another. Candles would be lit all around the baby inside the crib one night. Wow. Another night, the woman was taking a bath, and all of a sudden something pulled her hair from behind and pulled her under the water. And she almost drowned. Uh, the heartbreaking part was we could have done so much to help, but he would not go get help for himself. And one thing I'd learned early on is these underlying issues are the reason that people are open to something negative in their homes. You can have, a dozen different families in the same apartment and never have anything happen. Like, for instance, Amityville.
Yeah.
There is stuff that still happens there, but it's a very low level. You just get that wrong family in there, like George and Kathy Lutz. They had a lot of problems going into that house. And they already had interpersonal problems with the kids and with themselves. And George was a bit of a disturbed man. It was a perfect storm after what had taken place there with the murders, with Ron DeFeo and the family. So I think those kinds of cases are the ones that impact me the most. But maybe the darkest is the one I always go back to, and that's Maurice Theriault. He would be Frenchie from the movie The Nun, or the Nun movies. The Nun is not real, by the way. It doesn't exist. Don't worry, anyone. But Frenchie was a real man. Maurice was a real man. And I worked on that case when I was 20 years old. And I confronted him under possession. I was there. You can see the video on YouTube of his exorcism. And I'm right there. I'm the man between Maurice and the bishop. And what most people don't know is during that exorcism, right then, while you're seeing us online, my grandfather was standing 10 feet away from me having a massive heart attack.
Wow.
Oh, no, bless.
Yeah. So, yeah, this could be deadly.
Yeah. It's quite scary, isn't it? It's
like learning how to you work with electricity. It can be deadly. It doesn't have to be deadly.
No.
It's more often misunderstood. Most of the time, you don't deal with these kinds of cases. Most of the time, you're dealing with such simple, nice things like grandma came to visit and everybody thinks it's the devil. It's like, nope, sorry. You're all good. Don't worry.
This is the problem, it's because obviously we do public events as well. And we always get asked, all the questions that the public always ask, can certain things, can they do this? Can the head tilt go 360 degrees like in The Exorcist? I said, this is Hollywood. It's not quite like that. Not that I want that to happen, but I'd love to see a chair fly, 20 foot across the floor. I'd love to see it, but it's movies. The great movies. I love my horror films, and I love the Conjuring films. They're fantastic films, but they're not. And I say to everyone, they're not real. The TV programs aren't real. They're it's all entertainment, and as much as we love them, we are there to educate as well as entertain and possibly scare people. It's in a good way, of course.
Yeah, well, that's part of your career path. I understand that. If they're coming there for a ghost tour, you better give them a good fright.
Oh yeah, exactly. Oh, we were giving too many refunds, but we don't make a lot of money from the paranormal. We never will. We give it back to to society or whatever. It's we do get asked to do house investigations on occasions as well, which we're very humbled to do. We're not exorcists or demonologists or anything like that. We just go and give our interpretation of what we think it is. And if it's anything really severe or negative, then we say, well, we'll reach out to these people. They will help you. We're not foolish enough to go and deal with demonic entities ourselves, because, that's for people like yourself that's, experiencing those things. It's what is obviously, I know it's a question that probably everybody asks you. What is your take on your grandparents' house and the way it's gone about? If you don't want to answer, that's absolutely fine.
No. I've been very public about it. It breaks my heart.
Yeah.
This shouldn't be a tourist attraction. I had hoped it would stay in the family and be passed down from one generation to the next, but obviously they didn't feel the same way. When they started doing the museum tours, I was appalled. I mean, I didn't mind them talking about themselves as though they were experts. They were just entertainers.
Yes.
And I'm okay with that until they started exposing people to danger, because my grandparents and I have spent our lives protecting people from these things. I have things in that museum from my cases. I don't want people touching them or confronting them or doing anything that could possibly hurt them. I still very clearly remember being 13 or 14 years old, walking to the museum for maybe the second time in my life. And the first time I was 3 and I was locked in. Yeah, so they didn't let me in again.
I know it's not funny, but it sounds funny. But
yeah, no. But when I was like 13 or 14, my grandfather said, "Do not touch anything. Do not challenge anything. Do not try to communicate with anything. If you touch anything, you let me know immediately." And now what are they doing? They're allowing TikTokers and stuff to go in and try to communicate, and it goes to show that these folks have no idea what they're dealing with. This is a toxic waste dump of a place when it comes to paranormal energy. There's nothing healthy there.
No, it's horrible to see, and when they're going on the road shows that they do with Annabelle and everything like that. I'm thinking, like you say, it's not for the public. It's not a sideshow or anything like that, and it's dangerous, and it's also wrong I think it's wrong to parade the spirits that way as well. Whatever's attached to her, it's just wrong. They're not circus animals. That's what we always try and say.
I agree. Treat it with respect. And for me, it's more than that. It's a disregard for the public safety in the name of money.
Yes.
They don't take it seriously, and people do get hurt. Many people are getting hurt. And I don't think Annabelle is causing planes to fly out of the sky or tornadoes or fires 60 miles away from wherever she was. But one thing that bothers me a lot is these people coming out and lying and saying, well, Lorraine and Ed did this. They took things on. No, they never, ever did that. Tony Spera was the first person to take Annabelle out of the box. My grandfather painted a sign on the friggin' box saying positively do not open. It's very simple. It's not rocket science. I'm not trying to start an online fight. I'm not trying to challenge anyone. My ethical duty is to warn the public, stay away from this stuff, please.
I've seen quite a few videos on YouTube of Tony, them taking Annabelle out the case and this, that, and the other. I'm thinking, fair enough. I might not be as experienced, but I think that's just a bad idea. Whatever you believe to be with Annabelle, you believe it or you don't. It is a dangerous thing. And
Dan Rivera is the man that died.
Oh yes,
he was the handler of Annabelle. He's the one Tony made take Annabelle out of the box. And Dan gave an interview to Ghost City Tours podcast. Yeah. You can hear Dan telling the story of the first time he did it, he didn't know what he was doing. And he was driving home afterward. He got to a 4-way intersection and cars from all the other 3 directions slammed into his car. Now that doesn't happen normally. I've never heard of a 4-way collision like that. And now they're saying Annabelle had nothing to do with it. It's like, I don't know. I can't say for sure one way or the other. But as I said earlier, my grandfather had a heart attack during an exorcism. I've been thrown across the room. I've had the gas turn on my stove 3 nights in a row because I was about to work on a case. I've had so many things happen. I know how dangerous this is. So to turn this into a sideshow just infuriates me, to be honest.
You know, and I assume that obviously grandparents will be turning in their grave to realize what they're actually doing, and like saying the sake of money.
Well, my grandmother's pretty vocal even today. She's not hiding her displeasure. Let me tell you, she had Alzheimer at the end of her life, and she's made it. I think her quest has been to make up for lost time. Because she's everywhere. She appears to so many people, including me. She's with me often.
Yeah.
Good. You know, she was an absolutely remarkable lady. She really was, and as far as I'm concerned, the first and only lady of the paranormal. You know, she's a legend, as was your grandfather. You know, what he did. You know, it's. I remember we watched the other week. Is it Sally James Raphael, the TV show on that one?
God, yes.
When I saw your grandfather, he lost it. He really did. I thought
my grandfather wasn't good at that. He did not like to be challenged, and he could. Oh yeah, he could get bad.
Wow. God, I thought, and you know, and I would want to get on his bad side, you know. It's, but it was. We just watched it, didn't we? It was just fascinating to watch, but you know, and it's awful the way they're ousted as, you know, frauds and people like that. And that's, you know, I've often had many arguments, and I shouldn't do, with people saying, you know, you don't know these people. You know, it's you just read what the media wants you to read. You know, and. You know, what they did.
Human. They were human. They were constantly learning. You know, like The Demonologist. It was written in what, 77, I believe, 78.
Wow.
So it wasn't. It was a snapshot in time. It wasn't where they were at the end of their lives. They were always learning, just like me. I mean, my work has taken me all around the world, and my views are not completely different, but certainly far different than my grandparents'. Especially where they started. When they started, all they believed in were ghosts. They didn't believe in anything else. And I am an exorcist who doesn't even believe in demons. At least not the kind that people think of as demons today.
You know, I've come across that as well, because when I do investigations, I was confronted by a customer, and she says, what's your beliefs? What do you believe in? I says, well, I'm not religious. I'll openly admit I'm not religious. You know, I'm not against it. I'm just not religious. And I don't believe in the fact that there's one God or one devil. This is only my opinion. He says, well, you can't be a paranormal investigator. I said, why can't I be? Just because I don't believe in a certain thing. I don't believe in all the cryptids, you know, but it doesn't stop me from wanting to know more. Because I love the cryptids. You know, I absolutely love them, whether they're real or whether they're not. I find it fascinating. You know, and we get this so many times now, or we put a picture on of what we thought was a sort of manifestation or something like that. Oh, you're a fraud, you're fake. You know, but these people will openly follow groups that do fake things.
Yeah.
You know, and I was thinking, well, that's very hypocritical. But, and this is I don't know what it's like in the States as much, but we get a lot of toxicity, or whatever the word is, over here. It's so much backstabbing and egos, and you know, and it's
the Warren Legacy Foundations all over the world. I've had lots of in the foundation in Great Britain. I have some great members there now. I know how toxic it is, but that's why I don't know anybody in the paranormal community. I don't want to be a part of that. I'm not in this to become famous. I'm not in this, you know, for clicks and likes. I am here. I don't even like the paranormal. Listen, I really don't. To me, it's just the normal. My issue is fear. My issue is ignorance, and I want to empower people and help them overcome that. The truth is, I can do a house cleansing. I can do an exorcism. But if we don't deal with the issues that made you open to it, that's going to come back. That's just the way it is. So I'm far more interested in lifting people out of darkness than I am anything else. And I don't care if that person's alive or dead. I want to help both.
Absolutely. You know, and credit to you. It's And we get a lot over here that people that seem to be fascinated with Ouija boards, spirit boards, and things like that. And I'm thinking, and a lot over here, we've come to realize it now. It's a lot of people open them up, but they have got no idea what they're doing. They do it all when they're under the alcohol and drugs and things like that. And I'm thinking, when we try to educate people to say, look, these are not toys. You don't know what you're summoning or you don't know what you're opening. Treat it with respect. And the world would be a lot better place if people did.
That'd be true of just about everything if they treated everything with respect.
Yes.
The Ouija board itself, it's not the board. That's just cardboard and plastic and a little metal pin. It's your intention to connect with the spirits that make it dangerous or beautiful. My grandmother taught me, 45 years ago, she taught me that what you put out is what you're going to attract.
Exactly.
If you're putting out negative energy, if you're a kid who's got jangly nerves and all excited and afraid and maybe in first throes of love and it's terrible and it's the end of the world, not the best time to be trying to communicate with spirits. You're going to manifest something negative, And when you become afraid, you change the manifestation as well. You talked about cryptids a minute ago. I don't believe that there are hundreds of thousands of different magical creatures running around the universe or the world, and we don't see them for the most part. Having said that, I know for a fact that these things can manifest. I've been on cases where they do. That tells me it's all about our perception and our power to manifest our fears into something tangible, something real. Like a poltergeist. I mean, poltergeists are real. It's not in your head. You get thrown across the room. That didn't happen just inside your head. You really did bounce off the wall. Wow. So these things have a real substance to them in a way, an energy to them. But they are still manifestations of us.
Yes. I've read that quite a bit in the book as well. It's like I said, that book, it's only 300 pages long, but I've learned so much reading that book over this past few weeks than I've ever done in the eight years I've done the paranormal. It's so fascinating. And because obviously we had to deal with an attachment to my son on a public event earlier on this year, and it's one time that I've actually been scared in my life. I don't fear a lot being former military, so I don't tend to fear a lot. But this, when he had an attachment, it scared the bejeebus out of me. It really did. And I said to Michelle, I need to learn more about the dark side, so that maybe not necessarily prevent it from happening again, but so I can learn more, so I'm more knowledgeable and understood about what can go wrong. And I don't want to be able to perform exorcisms. That's not for me. That's for more professional people, but I want to learn more. So that's why I read The Demonologist.
I never wanted to perform an exorcism. That was not on my bingo card. No. It was an emergency. And then I've been doing this now 44 years. And I've been involved in 12 possession cases total in all of those years. It is so rare. There are other things like people who are wide open mediums and they're channeling spirits without any control. I don't consider that an actual traditional possession. One could argue that they are. You're still being taken over by a spirit. But my grandfather used to call me a demonologist. I don't call myself that anymore, because I've studied it enough to know that whatever we're dealing with historically is not what it used to be considered, and it's far deeper than that. If you really want to get into this work, if you really want to serve people, learn about psychology, therapeutic techniques, learn about quantum physics, cultural anthropology, learn about consciousness studies and the different studies on perception. You will find out that that will serve you far more than anybody else's ideas of what the paranormal is. Because all around the world, the paranormal manifests in different ways according to different cultural beliefs and spiritual beliefs. To me, that shows us that we're dealing with something completely different than the explanations that those cultures ascribe to them. I know the phenomenon is real. I just don't accept the superstitious explanations.
Oh, it's insightful. It's something I'll have to learn more about. You know, I'm not been into this game. Not a game. It's not a game. I've not been into this world as long as you have. You know, up till 2016, 2017, I never believed in any of it. I'll be honest. I never did. You know, I'd watched Most Haunted and all them kind of programs, and I thought, nah, I'm not. But it's only when I used to do something called urban exploring that I saw things that made me change my mind.
Right.
You know, I saw, things that I couldn't understand. I couldn't logically explain to say, I saw the mist, like walking up the stairs in this abandoned house. And it wasn't the temperature. It wasn't natural. Something was walking up the stairs and it got halfway up and it just disappeared completely. And I thought, I couldn't wrap my head around it. I was again quiet for about 2 days after that because I didn't know what to think. I thought, is my mind playing tricks with me? Am I making it up? Have I gone, have I gone insane? And after that point, I was more, I won't say obsessed, but I was more interested. It opened my eyes to a world that I thought wasn't real.
Mark, I'm with you. Honestly, with everything I've seen, I am constantly going back and replaying old cases, saying, right, could it be possible there was some explanation for this? Even my first case where there was levitation and the woman was clawed and all of these other things happened, I was like, yeah, but here's a crazy idea. Did my grandfather set this all up to make me overcome my fears? It's like, no, of course not. But yeah, I mean, these are the things that play in your head. It's like, how the hell did this crap happen? It just, you're confronted with something so unbelievable. You want to rationalize it away. And eventually you learn you just have to be comfortable with the unknown because most of the universe is unknown.
It is. It really is, and it's a big world, and we only know a very, very small fraction of it, or we think we know a very small fraction. And it's we don't see. We only see a short percentage of what we should see. Is it a few percent, and the rest we just don't see it. Yeah. And I absolutely love it. I do love the paranormal, or in your case, the normal. And it's I've lost my train of thought now. Sorry, I do apologize.
No, I go off on tangents. I'm throwing you off. I apologize.
No, you're not. Absolutely not. It's an insight talking to you. And I'm grateful for it. I've got a lot to learn.
So do I. I'm a student. There are no experts in this field. No. And I've had plenty of my colleagues tell me, don't you say that. It's like, look, let's be honest. I have gone through a million different theories throughout my life trying to get to where I am today. And I am sure that this is a interview that will be replayed 5 years from now. And it'll be like, he said this and now he's saying that. Like, yeah, because I'm changing with evidence.
So will obviously your travels ever bring you back to the UK again then, or is it something?
September.
When?
September.
Oh. Yeah. We'll have to be conveniently around wherever you go. We'll have to stalk you. No, it won't.
Actually, I'm working with a company called Ghost City Tours. Okay. My grandparents used to do a tour of haunted Great Britain every year. 3,000 miles, 5,000 kilometers from Penzance to John O'Groats, Isle of Skye, down to Borley, everywhere in between. We have 21 days. We're going to take about 30 people on a tour of the everywhere. It's going to be my lifelong dream. It's one of my fondest memories of my time with my grandparents, and I want to recreate it for others. So yeah, I'll be there then. We're going to be filming it as well, probably for Netflix. And then hopefully, if all goes well, if there's enough interest from people in the UK, I'll do lectures in October there, and then I will return home to Paraguay. Oh, I don't live in the United States, by the way, for anybody who wasn't aware of that.
You know, that'd be awesome. It would be, you know, great to see you in the UK. You know, I mean, obviously we want to come over to the States. Obviously, the States want to come over here. You know, it's obviously
I'm a British citizen. My father is from London, so I've lived over there several times. I love Great Britain. I've lived in Thirsk and Oxford and London.
Thirsk and Market Town, yes.
Yeah, Braintree, up in Dunfermline, out in Galway. Yeah, I've been all over.
Wow. I didn't know, but you know, it is. I love my country. I'm proud to be British. I just don't like the way my country's being run. Probably the same as everyone else is in the world. You know, it's. I'm proud to have served my country. So it's. But it'll be fantastic when you come over to the UK. It really will be. You know, we do have such we're an old island. We really are. With a lot of history. And you know, I didn't realize we had more history than you. You know, it's well, it's not more in America. I mean, sorry, I keep thinking everyone's in America, but it's it'll be fantastic. I'll have to keep a lookout for that. Then it'll be very insightful. But if you could do lectures, I'd definitely come to it. That's without a doubt. I don't care where it is in the country. I'll come to it.
Well. After we're done on the interview, we'll talk, and I'll give you a contact there, and perhaps you can help him set something up in your area. I'd love to do it.
Absolutely. You know, it's that would be a complete honor. It really would be. You know, and I say that from my heart. I don't say it lightly.
I love teaching. You know, sharing what I've learned and what I think I know. But it's about, for me, it's about, and I said it earlier, it's about empowering people.
Yes.
Helping them to overcome their fears. Because the truth is, 9 times out of 10, the paranormal is beautiful, not deadly.
Absolutely.
And that mist you saw on the stairs, you know, it wasn't something evil. It was either somebody who's stuck in a moment and could use some help, or maybe it was a residual haunting. It could have been, but it doesn't sound evil. Not sure what that echo is.
Not our end, I don't think, but
you never know.
It was fascinating. You know, unfortunately, I can't go back to that house anymore to do even an investigation or anything because it's sealed up now. So they're doing some renovations with it, which I thought was a shame because I remember when we was exploring, we went upstairs, and me and my best friend Joe at the time, we heard, like I was saying to the ladies when we did our podcast, we heard crunching downstairs, like someone was walking over broken pots. Mm-hmm. And I said to my friend, "Did you hear that?" He said, "Yes." I said, "Well, let's go down and see what it is, because it could be children, as we get a lot of them in abandoned buildings. It could be explorers, or it could be the police." You know, and went downstairs, absolutely nothing. There was nothing. I thought, oh, am I hearing things? You know, it's because I still didn't believe at this point. And then when we went to go back up the stairs, on the bottom spindle of the stairs was an old perfume bottle. It looked fresh. So obviously, I've been there for a while, and in front of it, a black and white photograph which I, about a month down the line, found out it was the grandmother of the person that owned the house.
Wow.
And that was not up there when I first went up.
That's amazing, actually.
And that was the pinnacle. And I said, yeah, that wasn't there when we went up them stairs, and we didn't put it up there. We wouldn't know where to find the picture. And it looked like it was all pristine as well. And I can't explain that. You know,
now, you said they're doing renovations. This would be the time to go in and investigate if you were ever able to, because boy, when you start messing with their house, that can stir them up. So, you know, that's a good time to go in and try to calm them down and help them to relax. I said, you know, like during COVID as well. Here's another example. My goodness, things just exploded in the paranormal world. There were so many people reaching out for help because, you know, they're reactive. They're sensing our anxiety and our panic. And during COVID lockdown, everybody locked in their homes and going stir crazy. The spirits were like, what the hell's going on over there?
It is, you know, and like I said, because everyone was probably down, depressed. And like you say, that breeds the negatives, you know, and negativity breeds negativity. And the spirits are going to react to that. Of course they are. You know, as they would do, you know, you're going to get negative spirits probably come through and attach to that, and you know, but I mean, I don't know if we're going back down towards lockdown, but there's obviously rumours in this country again that the worst flu ever is going around again. They said in the UK that it's going to kill many people. But as I try and advise people, the flu kills people anyway, regardless. You know, and as long as you've got a good immune system and, you know, and all of that, you should overcome it. But they panic scare in this country. They do that,
yeah. Media is built, social media is also built on terror, anger. Yes. That's what keeps people engaged. So the algorithm is programmed to make a more negative world. It is not a healthy ecosystem, and people should avoid it as much as possible. Says the guy that's, you know, constantly putting crap out on Instagram and everywhere else.
It's kind of a necessary evil.
It is. Social media is. Unfortunately, we would be lost without it, even though I don't like technology myself. I hate technology. You know, it's I've never been brought up with technology. You know, I had a basic upbringing.
I'm older than you, Mark. I have one tool that I use in my investigations, and that's the camera on my iPad. That's it.
Well, that's as far as it goes. You know, it's I'm very technophobe. I know obviously my paranormal equipment. I know that to a degree. You know, as much as I'm going to learn from it, you know, but they're the tools of the trade, or as we say on the Invest, with the toys for the spirits to play with if they want to. But I don't like technology. I always think that we are the best tool to have in the paranormal.
Yeah.
Our senses are the best in the world.
Yes.
We're born with them.
I like trigger objects. Like if you're dealing with a bunch of children from the 1920s, bring in some games from the 1920s and music. I like that. That's a great thing. And you know, for me, it's a relatively new idea. I've only learned about it about 18 years ago. All right, wow. For me, that's new. So you know, I'm old.
Mark,
old, you know.
Mark, wasn't it you and Michelle that told us, and again, excuse me if I've got it wrong, but Chrissy and I've done a few podcasts in the last few weeks here. But didn't you say that you brought in like music to an investigation that was of the period on one of your investigations?
Yeah, we've done that quite a few times. You know, if we do a church or an abandoned church, I won't do an investigation in a church that's used. I would never do that. I'd never dream of doing that. You know, and we've gone into an abandoned church and we played like church music.
Yeah, exactly.
And boy, does that, you know, get you activity. You know, it gets you.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Why won't you do an investigation in an active church? For instance, Borley. Borley's a beautiful place to go, and There's a nun and a priest there that could probably use the help.
It's maybe again it might have, been misinformed, or maybe it's just my own mind telling me that it doesn't seem right to do it in an active church. I don't know. Maybe it's just me getting it wrong, and I admit when I get things wrong.
No. Follow your instincts. If it's not right for you, don't do it. I just curious what your reasoning was. I've never heard of anybody saying something like that before. So it was good for me, and I was curious.
It's because Michelle keeps telling me, going off camera again, and Michelle keeps telling me she's done plenty of investigations in churchyards, graveyards, and things like that, and I've always looked at it, as
like sacrilege.
You shouldn't do that, but
it's only been the old churchyards, though, hasn't
Yeah,
it? The really old ones, not the active churchyards.
I didn't feel like I wanted to. I felt like I was going to be disrespectful, which I never am, but that's how it felt to me. Maybe
Thing
it's
is,
wrong.
most cultures, graveyards are not particularly haunted.
No.
In most cultures. But when you're there and you're looking at these gravestones, you're calling to the soul, and it's you that makes it haunted by calling on them. They come to you because, hey, look, somebody's paying attention to me.
Yeah.
And that's the only reason. Think about it, Mark. Do you really want to haunt your dead body? That's not where you're attached. You're going to be attached to a place, a time, people, unfinished business, something. But it certainly isn't going to be to your moldering body.
No. It's perhaps I might need to change my outlook on things, I think, and broaden my horizons, so to speak. It's but I do love doing abandoned buildings, but buildings that have got history.
Yes.
And I know it's a metaphor. Spirits can be around anywhere. It could be the land. It could be, not necessarily the building. But I like to find a place that is, there's got a lot of history. So if you've got a lot of history,
you're in a great country for that.
We are.
Yeah, we're very lucky.
I love my castles, even in my ruined castles. I love investigating in ruined castles and churches and things like that. I do like it. I get more of a buzz from that than doing a house that's in use.
Yeah.
And we do get a lot of activity. It's phenomenal. But we are in a history-rich country.
Yes, you are.
But we're also in a country that wants to get rid of its history as well. So many fires recently in grade 2 listed buildings. It's developers mainly at the end of the day, and it's so they can tear a building down that should be protected. They'll send somebody in, they'll set fire to it. Oh, we've got to lock it down now for health and safety, and I think it's absolutely disgusting.
Crazy.
Again, for money.
Yeah. Short-sighted fools.
And spirits are not going to like that either. Of course they're not.
There's a question that I know Medium Red and I always ask everybody, that because we have been doing pretty strong on the paranormal guests. So I'm going to have Medium Red to tell or ask you a question, Chris.
So, Chris, we're just very curious about, what your thought process is on the Conjuring house and the push to purchase the house, and with Jason Hawes, etc. What your viewpoints are on that, as well as, like you were saying, about your grandmother's house. So curious about that one.
Well, actually, Jason reached out to me and he called me. I didn't even know the man. I didn't even know who he was, to be quite honest. But I looked him up and I was like, all right, if you're the real person, let's have a phone call. And so he gave me a call, and he explained to me that Andrea Perrin wanted him to purchase the home to protect it.
Yes.
It wasn't something he particularly wanted to do himself. I can respect that.
Yes.
I don't think he owns it, as far as I understand. Somebody else seems to have gotten a hold of it, and it's
Correct.
going to be continuing in the same paranormal tourism vein that it was before. That case was never properly solved. I thought it was, and you'll see old videos where I've said, leave things alone once they've been solved. But my grandparents never talked about that case. I never knew a thing about it until the first movie came out. And by then, my grandmother, her Alzheimer's wasn't that great, and I couldn't get a lot of details. And I didn't. But I don't know. I wish we could preserve places without having people go in there and try to stir things up.
Yes.
Because you all know that there are an awful lot of broken and disturbed people who are very lost, and they look to the paranormal for answers. They look to the paranormal to empower themselves in a way that makes them feel like they're greater because they don't feel that great. And then they go into these places, and the energy they're bringing into them is healthy. It's why I have a problem with people going into the museum, which it should never have been called a museum. It was never open to the public. I don't care what you hear online. My grandparents' place was to protect people from those things.
Yes.
Maybe 5 people a month went in there in groups of 1 or 2. And that was it. It was just someplace, here, let me show you, let me teach you, now get out. Do not touch.
And that's how it should be. These are very dangerous objects, as we know, or they've got dangerous attachments to them. And why would you parade it like a circus? It's... I know. I've asked me a question that I already know the answer to. But... I do hope that Jason does get the Conjuring house. I really do, because he's a great guy. He's not going to do it for the money. Well, not the way it's portrayed at the minute.
Yeah, he certainly doesn't need to.
Right.
He's very well off. He doesn't have any issues in that way. He wanted to do this as a public thing and have the money come through that, so that anybody who wanted to visit properly and respectfully could afford to go there, unlike what they're doing in my grandparents' home, where they're charging $2,000 at the beginning of the week and $2,500 at the end of the week. Wow. And if you want to investigate in the museum, you have to use their equipment. You have to pay them to review the footage that you've taken. It's a scam.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, Jason, last I heard, he is still in the process of running to get the Conjuring house. So I'm hope he does, because he has my vote. I mean, he got me when Andrea sent out that plead video, and it's like, that really warmed my heart, knowing that one of the siblings of the house wanted somebody like Jason to do it. So it's like, I can
the trust factor that she has for him. Yeah,
very much. Yeah,
well, we're all rooting for
volumes.
Yeah, and with your grandmother's house, I'm kind of dead set against what they're doing right now, and sometimes I have a big mouth and want to say things I shouldn't say. So, but it comes from a good heart and soul. That's like, it's just all money. And in today's times, I have seen so many people who will go without eating or something, or paying their bills just to go to some place to say, oh, I've been there. And I've been there to different haunted places, and it's not really a big thing. It's just, it's nice to go, but if you have a decent living and can afford it, yes. But if you can't, don't sell your soul to the devil to go to the place.
It's not worth it, is it? It's not worth starving yourself to death to go to it just to say, "Oh, look, I've been." It's just not worth it. It is heartbreaking, because I mean, aren't they renovating the house as well now, or something he was saying?
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're really.
I lived there for the last year and a half of my grandmother's life. I was with her the whole time. That's a shame. I mean, that's my home.
I think that we did the kitchen.
Yeah, because they post pictures up, didn't they?
Oh no!
They said, "Oh, this is the best it's ever looked." I said, "No, it's not." I said, "No, it's not. It's worse than what it looked. It looked all right to start with. Leave it as it is."
It was
That was my
beautiful.
grandmother's house. I called it my grandmother's house because she designed it.
Oh,
That kitchen, that was all her. All of that red glass that she had everywhere,
Lovely.
that she loved red glass. Everything in that should have stayed exactly the way it was. Renovating it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think they did the kitchen. I'm pretty sure that's what one of the videos that I watched.
it was a flooring as well, weren't it? They showed the pictures of the floor. I think it was as well.
The floor. Yeah.
I don't have a problem with them fixing floors if maybe there was some damage.
Yeah.
I understand that, but
I think it was the cabinets too, but I'm not for sure.
oh, that's a shame.
So
yeah, it should have been a historic land.
The one thing that bothered me so much about it is that they were going through boxes and pulling out old, like newspaper clippings and things like that clearly were things that your grandfather and grandmother had saved for one reason or another, and they were going through it. It was like, why would that be there? To me, that's more family oriented. It should have been something that they would have already gone through. It's like, these are personal belongings. I guess I just find that tacky. Sorry.
I did open my mouth up on that, and it kind of caused a little riot, I should say, in the group that I was in, or still am. But I said, I think because I know your mother went through some stuff, but there's other family members like yourself,
Right.
Maybe you have cousins, aunts, uncles, somebody who wants to look through that stuff too.
We're not allowed. My mother and Tony, my grandmother asked us all what we wanted when she died. I just said I wanted the broken cuckoo clock on the wall, one painting that I loved because they painted it together, and the family photos. That's all I wanted. And when she died, all of a sudden, everything was in a trust to Tony and my mother. And that just didn't seem right. There's no will to look at. Because it's in a trust, nobody knows what my grandmother's actual wishes were. And I'm not allowed to have anything, see anything. And Tony even accused me of trying to break into the museum.
Oh my God.
So, and stealing some painting. He did everything he could to make me look bad to my mother.
I'm so sorry.
It's awful. It's disgusting.
It's inheritance, and inheritance can tear families apart when there's an ego involved.
Yeah.
My mom knows me. I mean, she wanted to have an executor for her will because I told her, "Look, Mom, when you die, I don't want to have trouble with my sister. Let her have everything. I don't care." She says, "No, that's why I'm having executor. You're going to have half." I was like, "Well, I don't care. I'm not materialistic. I'm sentimental as hell.
Of course.
I'd like to have a keepsake or something, but I don't need more than that. I live out of a bag. That's my own.
It's. Are we froze? No, we haven't froze. No, I thought we froze. No, it's. I've watched a lot of stuff on YouTube that Tony's put out himself, and I knew from that when I looked at it, I thought Tony does not like you one bit, and it's more for him. I don't like. I never like to speak ill of people, but I don't like the guy. I really don't like him.
I'm not going to attack him. It's every time he attacks me, all I do is I just show who I am, and I'm here to help, and that's it.
Exactly.
Period. I don't need to. He's causing enough damage to himself.
Yeah.
I mean, you reap what you sow, don't you? At the end of the day, karma comes around in big ways, and he will get whatever is due to him. But
you manifest what you want, just like Chris was saying.
Well, you manifest what you put out.
Right, what you put
Not
out. Correct.
necessarily what you want, but
Yeah.
what you put out is what you're going to get back. Yeah.
Correct.
Is there any last questions you have, Mark? We up to almost an hour. Got 5 minutes left.
Oh, take your time if you want. I'm in no hurry.
Well, you may not want to say that. We keep you here all night.
Yeah, 3 hours later,
Yeah.
everyone's falling asleep. You know, no, it's just an honor to, you know, in the privilege to talk to you, even if it's not about the paranormal. It's just, you know, you're a great guy. You're a humble guy, and you're the kind of people I look up to. All three of you.
No, wait. People keep saying that. I am not humble at all. I really am not. I am realistic. Look, there are 7 billion people on a pebble floating in a cosmos with billions and billions and billions of living worlds.
Yes.
All right. I'm not humble. I'm just realistic. I'm nothing more special in the eyes of God than anyone else.
Well, blessings to you, Chris.
You are to me. You are to me.
Very nice.
That's all that matters. You know, it's,
Enough. Just let's move on.
Well,
awkward.
well, I know you've been doing a lot of seminars online and everything. You got any new ones coming up?
No. I was spending far too much time advertising these and not enough time helping people, and that's where I have to pay my rent, but I'll find another way. That's just not where I need to spend my energy. There are too many people in trouble. I can't afford to spend time making money. That didn't sound. That sounds stupid. The truth.
No.
Yeah.
But it's, you know, it's there are same over here. There's loads of people that want help, you know, with whatever they've got going on in their lives or their house, you know, and that's what we like to do. We like to help as best we can. We're not maybe as knowledgeable, but what we don't know, we'll learn. You know,
well, you can always call me if you need help, Tom. That's what I'm here for.
I think Michelle reached out to you the other night regards to her attachment, you know, and
I sent her some information on how to deal with that, and I'm waiting for her to get back to me and tell me how it's going.
We're going to do it, aren't we?
We've gone to, because it's draining the life out of her, bless her. I'm not saying the woman's, you know, like everyone else says, demonic or anything like that. She's probably just an upset soul, or, you know, a lost soul maybe, you know, but it's causing Michelle a lot of harm now, and I can't have that.
Keep in mind too, though, Michelle, honestly, I can't remember. I apologize. You need to be firm, and you need to say clearly, no, I'm not here for you. I can't help you. You need to back off and go away.
We do.
And you'd be surprised with an ordinary human being, living or dead, that just laying down your own boundaries goes a long way.
Absolutely.
You know, but if not, that ritual I gave you, let me tell you, 2.5 years ago, I was here in Paraguay the first time, and I was under attack. I'd pissed off a couple of magic users, and for directing. I don't like magic. I think of it as directed energy. Yeah. But they were directing energy in a very negative way toward me. One night I was turning on my lamp and next to my bed, and it electrocuted me and threw me across the room. I had palm-sized bruises all over my body like a leopard. I couldn't walk. Things were breaking in the house. My daughter, my adult daughter lives with me and travels with me. And we always get along, and we were not at all. And that was weird. But I wanted to chalk it up as natural, not anything to worry about. You know, we all go through rough patches. And then my grandmother came to 4 different psychics on the same night, a Wednesday night, and said, Christopher is under attack. He needs to take care of this. Imagine waking up to that Thursday morning, messages from 4 different women who don't know each other, all giving messages from your grandmother. I was like, okay, Graham, I'm listening to you. And I did that ritual. And then I followed it up with a house cleansing ritual to get rid of any other energies that were in the house afterward, sealed the home, and everything was fine immediately afterward. Wow. So you'll find that that's an incredibly powerful ritual. And I highly recommend.
Well, we thank you for that, though. It's much appreciated. You know, it's we'll see how it goes over the coming weeks, and we'll relay back to you as to what's happened. And you know, absolutely, you know, we appreciate that. It's because I mean we have spirits in the house anyway. You know, we've got a couple of dolls that have got supposed to have attachments to them, you know, and they're fine. They make themselves known. Michelle's got a small boy attachment, bless him, and he's called Herbert, and he's only 9 years old.
From the 11
Have you tried to help him pass over?
I don't think he wants to.
He doesn't want to, does he? He said he doesn't want to pass over.
You know, what we communicated with him, you know, obviously, you know, and he's quite happy to be here. He loves Michelle to pieces.
He sees me as his mum.
Sees her as his mum. Now, he's not draining Michelle or anything like that. He's very happy. But
often, now I've dealt with a lot of child spirits. Listen, here I am. I'm falling into therapist mode. But because this is therapy, it really is when you're dealing with adults. If they're saying they're happy, look beyond that. Are they actually afraid to pass over? Because often that's the reality. And you say, listen, call to your mother, call to your father, ask them to come help you. Unless, and try to find out, are they afraid of their parents?
Yeah, it could be.
You know, it could be. You don't know.
No.
So you need to communicate in a very sweet, understanding, and respectful way.
Yes.
And try to find out, why do you want to stay so much? Don't you understand what's on the other side is so much greater for you? And you'll have children to play with. You'll be loved by so many. Right now, that child is attached to you, Michelle, because you have a lovely aura. You know, you're very empathetic. You shine bright. And yes, of course, that lost little boy is going to be attracted to you. You're a light in their darkness. Yeah. But that just gives you an opportunity to hopefully help them to go even further and pass on. Here's a story for you. I was in a former tuberculosis sanitarium above the clouds in Costa Rica. Gorgeous location, Sanatorio Duran. And at one point, I was able to escape the cameras and everybody else that had been following me for some dumb reason. And I was in this room by myself. And this little spirit, little boy or girl, I couldn't tell which, came up to me. And I'm talking to them in Spanish. I'm in a Spanish country, trying to help them to pass over. And the child's too afraid, doesn't want to move on or anything. All of a sudden, my grandfather is standing next to me with his arms crossed like this. Chris, what the hell are you doing? You know, not saying a word, but that's the impression. Yeah. And then my grandmother comes from the other side.
Oh, God.
And she gets down on one knee, she puts her hand out to the child, and they walk into the light together.
Oh.
I know. It's like, wow. Yeah. It's so
it's breathtaking.
Fear can paralyze. And I deal with fear I'm dealing with fear today in 2 different situations. And we can free ourselves. We really can. And we can do so much when we let go of fear and when we let go of self-imposed limitations.
Yes. Absolutely, you know, we dealt with letting go of a lot of fear when I was in the military. You know, obviously, you know, because we fear the unknown, of course we do. You know, but like I said, you just got to tune your mind, and because fear is just, I won't say it's just a word, but it holds people back so much. And you know, obviously, I'm a bit more restrained and fear more now than I did 30 years ago. You know, 30 years ago, I wouldn't think twice about, you know, fast roping out of a helicopter and abseiling 200, 300 foot. Now I look at it now as I'm a bit old, I'm thinking, no, because if I fall, that's going to hurt. So I'm more restrained now than I used to be. But it's not fear. I'm just more logically thinking.
Yes.
But before I joined the military I had a lot of fear in my life. I didn't have the best upbringing. I'm not going to go into detail. I'm not going to bore people, but my father was very abusive. And he thrived on negativity. He was one of those kind of people. And I thought what that taught me from that, because obviously he towered above me only being small, was never to fear anything. Don't fear nothing. You can overcome anything if you put your mind to it.
Exactly.
You can't go around something, go over it, go through it, go whatever you can. And that taught me a lot in the military. Any target or anything, any mission you need to do, there's ways to do it. You don't have to fear nothing. And
here's the choice. It's a reaction, but whether you continue to be afraid, that's your choice. And the unknown, I treat it with awe and respect. And it's like, again, going back to the earlier metaphor, it's like dealing with electricity. You don't pick up a live wire unless you know how to deal with that live wire. But as long as you at least know to stay away from that live wire, you're okay. You don't have to be afraid of it anymore.
No, it's but yes, it's true, isn't it?
It's almost like the saying, paralyzation through fear. Fear, you paralyzed by fear.
Exactly.
Exactly. Yeah, I know. Again, a lot of the guys, when I was serving, even though we're well trained, the military are always well trained. And a couple of friends of mine, one was a Royal Marine, and he actually froze in combat. And I'm thinking, all the training you've had, and you're well trained, and he froze in combat. I mean, luckily he got away with it, but. It's
humans, and it adds up. It isn't. It's not that one moment. It's all the moments before it.
It's and another one of my friends. He did a tour in Bosnia when the conflict was off in Bosnia, and he was part of the 42 Royal Marines, and he was traumatized that much because he saw women and children burnt alive and things like that. And he came home with severe PTSD to the point where he shot himself. And I'm thinking, that's, it's, and that obviously that's not fear. No, but obviously, again, it shows the dark side to what we deal with in the forces.
Exactly.
We see humans in bad light, so to speak. And we end up with PTSD. I suffer with severe PTSD. I really do. And you don't get no help in this country. There's no help. There's none. You have to do it yourself. And that's what I've done. I came out because I lost my best friend. He was shot and killed on active duty. And I turned to drink. I was an alcoholic.
So
for many years. I read that, and so where I'm coming from. You think it's your best friend. At the end of the day, it gave the answers that I thought I wanted to hear, but it cost me at the time. It cost me my family. It cost me my my ex-wife wasn't very nice anyway, but I lost my daughter through it, and I said, and going through life drinking. I thought the problem's not going. It's not going away. The problem's still there. And it took a trip to the doctors, them showing what my insides looked like or would look like if I carried on drinking. And I said, no, I can't do that to my family. Can't do that to my children. And I stopped drinking.
That's what did for me, my son.
20 odd years now. I won't say I'm completely sober. I do have an occasional drink, but I don't rely on it.
Well, good for you. I'm happy you're even able to do that. I can't not pick up a drink. I've tried that route where I'm sure I'm good now. No, I don't have that ability. My limit is 0. That's as much as I'm allowed.
And we all have different. You know, it's I know now to stop. You know, I don't have any more than one anyway now. You know, I'd rather have a cup of tea. I'm typical English. I like a cup of tea. So it's
Have every morning.
yeah.
In this cup.
I cannot function without a cup of tea first thing in the morning. You know, I can function when I've had a cup of tea. I can solve the world, but without a cup of tea, absolutely not.
Everything goes to pot.
It just goes to pot.
Mark, just one thing.
Yes.
Make sure that you are in the right headspace when you go into a haunting. All right. If you're dealing with anything dark in yourself, that's not the time for you to go. We all have different times where there are times I cannot go into a haunting. You know, not as much anymore. I'm probably one of the happiest people you'll ever meet. But there have been times in my life where I wasn't. And those are the times you pull back.
Yes. You know, and they're the things I'm again learning as I go along. You know, I can remember the very first time I saw a shadow figure. You know, it was fascinating. I'd never seen one before. I thought, what's that? It's like a dark mass. It's looking around the corner of this abandoned school that I was in, where I used to live. And it was obviously most people probably choose to run away. I didn't. Stupid enough, I ran towards the spirit, and I probably scared the spirit again. So he probably died twice, poor thing. You know, and I'm having to learn now, rein it back in a little bit. Don't get so excited. You know, I think, chill, Mark, chill. You know.
Well, what do you know about black-eyed children? I'm curious.
It's one thing we've not learned about, isn't it?
No, we've got that. We keep saying we want to go to Cannock Chase. That's notorious for the black-eyed children. Now, I don't think there is black-eyed children. I don't know if it's something manifesting as children or not. I don't know if it's something more darker than that. But it's something I want to research more into to be knowledgeable.
Well, there's a reason I'm asking you, of course.
Okay.
All right. Things go in cycles.
Yes.
So the black-eyed children were a big thing in the 90s and the early 2000s.
Okay.
You don't hear about them much at all anymore. You know, they've faded from our cultural zeitgeist. Now it's shadow people. And to me, I'm sorry, those are just ghosts that are physically manifesting. They don't have a lot, you know, it's hard to physically manifest. So the best they normally can do is be a shadow. But everybody wants to start calling it something special and different. And it's like, nope, that's what it's always been. You're just, you know, the Slender Man is another one that was created as a creepypasta thing on the internet. And now it shows up in cases because people believe it's real. Or the Dybbuk box. That was created by a guy just to sell this old liquor cabinet, and now it's a real thing. No, it's not. He came out and admitted it was just a story I made up to sell this thing.
And that was after Zach Bagans bought it as well. And I thought it couldn't have happened to a better person because I don't like that man at all. You know, and it's just, I thought, because he was saying, oh, it's real. We've got this coming out of it. We've got that coming out of it. And then it come out. It says, oh, no, I made it all up. And I thought, yeah, don't you look like a fool? You know, and it's just, I thought, yeah, could happen to a greater guy. Sorry if anybody likes him.
He's
going to get shot down in flames now.
Entertainer. He's an entertainer.
Yeah.
I call him the P.T. Barnum of the paranormal. You know, and that's fine. As an entertainer, I don't have a problem with him. My problem is too many people watch that program and think they're learning what to do, and then they do it. And I've had to clean up those messes, and that's a problem for me. There should be a disclaimer. This is just entertainment on their program.
Well, they had to do that with Most Haunted as well, you know, because obviously it started off. I think when it first started, it started off with good intentions, but obviously then they got to the entertainment side of it, and it just got totally out of hand.
Yeah.
But didn't Zach Bagans and what's his company? Ghost Adventures.
Yeah.
Didn't they do your grandparents' house? Or he did. He was supposed to have touched Annabelle at some point.
Yes. He and Tony Spera worked out a deal, and Tony went out to Vegas with Annabelle twice.
Okay.
But then they had a major falling out, and they start. This is another reason I don't like these things. I don't deal with the paranormal community because, oh my God, the petty bickering. It's so unprofessional. How can
It's
anybody
horrible,
take us
isn't it?
seriously and ask us for help when we're online screaming, yelling at one another? I will never. We have one important rule. Well, let me put it in a couple of ways. I don't give oxygen to trolls. You know, I'm not going to feed that fire, and I don't punch down. You want to come at me, you go right ahead. I'm going to continue to just keep helping people, and
Yes.
people will see who I really am.
Absolutely. You know, here.
That's been part of our discussions that we've had with Mark and Michelle, because again, being in the UK and me being in the United States, you know, I was just kind of curious to know, does it transfer across the pond as well? And it does. Clearly, it's the drama and the backbiting and I mean, it is.
It's human. It's everywhere.
Yeah, and it's so disconcerting, and it's so what's the word I'm trying to find? Not frustrating as much, but it is disheartening. It is so disheartening because we are here to help, and we're here to basically learn, like you said. And so it's so disheartening, and it takes the fun out of it. And you know, the fun of learning, the fun of helping, the validation part of it. It's so disheartening on that end. So I really hate that.
That's a dog. You got a dog.
Oh yeah, I had to keep her going, so I had to put her up on my lap.
Mark, she's been there for 10 minutes at least.
She's being good.
She's a good girl. Her name is Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. She's the perfect blend of chocolate and peanut butter. It's my favorite treat. So
We can't
I
get
love
that here.
dogs.
I wish. I love Reese's.
You know,
I do too. They're my guilty pleasure. But yeah, so she was getting ready to bark, so I picked her up, and she wants to be on the podcast too, apparently.
Why not indeed? You know, I mean, I get on more with dogs than I do with humans anyway, so it's they don't stab you in the back, they don't.
That's right. Well, I always say I prefer talking to dead people.
Yes, that's what we said the other day when we were doing an investigation. You know, it's I get more sense out of the deceased than I do out the living. You know,
right? Exactly. They're at least more forthright.
Yeah. And I think of dogs as God's teachers of unconditional love.
Absolutely.
Nothing in the universe seems to love the way a dog does.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, Chris, have you done any investigation in Paraguay?
Oh, sure.
I mean, I'm sure there's, some cases down there. Can you tell us about maybe one of them that you like to share?
Sure. But let me first explain. How do I put this? Not everything I do is actually paranormal. Like, I was in a house 2 weeks ago because a woman wants to die and she can't. She's 93. She's been fed through a tube for the last 3 years, but she's holding on for her daughter. So I went there to help her daughter to let her go. And oh boy, that bedroom was full of spirits, 3 or 4 of them, just waiting, ready to gather her up and take her. But then this woman that I had actually come to see, well, she's telling my daughter, he's so handsome. Why doesn't he have... Oh, God. And then I go into the kitchen because in Paraguay they want to, give you a little treat. Like, would you like some coffee? And here's a little food. And so we're sitting there, and all of a sudden I'm getting like this hit on the head. And I'm like, all right, now there's a soul here that really is not happy with me. And I don't know why. What did I do? And her husband had died 2 years ago. And he was like, no. Don't stay away from my wife.
Oops. Awkward.
Yeah. Like, hey, no.
No intention.
Please believe me.
But I mean, I do a lot of grief counseling and things like that, and helping people with passage, because
Mhm.
yes, dying can be hard, but death is a coming home party. You know,
Mhm.
it's truly a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
When my grandmother died, I was with her that whole last day, and the room was filled with souls. And the moment she died, my question was, Graham, are you okay? And I get this high pitched whine in my right ear. Okay, Graham, glad to know you're okay. Just want to make
Good.
sure. Yeah.
Bless her.
But all right, in Paraguay, two quick ones for you. I had to investigate a haunted Masonic temple. The guards would not stay more than one night, because things were knocking and so forth. I went in there, and it was the homeowner's grandfather, and he was trying to warn the head of the lodge that many of the leadership of the lodge were only in this for business and for material gain, and it was not spiritual for them. He was there as a guardian. He wasn't doing anything wrong. And another one I had was similar. It was a woman who was sure there was a demon in her house, and it turned out to be her father warning her that her ex-boyfriend was dangerous.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
Mm.
wow.
Yeah.
It's amazing,
People
isn't it?
misinterpret things very, very easily, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
And
Don't
everything's-
think the worst of everything.
Yeah,
Everybody
well,
does.
it is. Everything's demonic, and there's only like a very small percent. It's not everyone can be demonic. It's impossible. But that's what society is breeding now, or the movies, TV, whatever.
The entertainment business, like Chris was saying, they should have a disclaimer that states, like, this is for entertainment purposes only. Do not try to reenact at home, or this is something, truth between the lines or something like that, because that's what unfortunately, that show that we were just discussing it skews that way to the negative,
Yeah.
It's Hollywood.
They shouldn't call it a reality programming.
Right.
Oh, no.
Correct.
Yeah, that's very true. I always say, respect your spirits in your home, because I know we have some here and nothing never really happens. I mean, it was all when they want my attention, like they might turn the gas stove on where I'm like, oh, okay, there's gas. So, okay, what's going on? And, I get my divination tools and stuff and they tell me, and, I said, okay, like changing the color of a wall, it's like, no, I don't like that color. I want this color. And, I mean, you really just got to listen to them. And I love it. I love talking to them. So, and
I'm privileged if they reach out. I'm more than happy to help them. Like I said earlier, there's no difference between the living and the dead. They're just people.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
that's true. That is true. I know we had a guest on earlier last year, Brandy Anderson. She did a book on Through the Veil, the afterlife. And she did this book because her grandmother spoke to her through like a typewriter, a laptop, or on the TV when you search, and she will go and type out what's going on, or hey, that's not good, or get that boy away from her, or something like that. And, she would listen, and she did a book about it. It's very interesting.
Oh.
So, yeah, we just have to listen.
What was the name of the book, Chrissy?
Through the Veil.
Through the Veil? Okay. I'm going to read it.
I have to check and see.
And I apologize. My daughter is showing me the dinner's ready.
Oh, that is fine.
Oh.
We are going to end the show anyway. Thank you so much, Chris, for coming on.
Thank you, Chris. It's a pleasure.
Thank you.
Always a pleasure. You have
you got it.
our support on everything you do. And bless you always with many blessings. And until next time, my friend.
Yeah, thank you so much again for coming on. We appreciate it greatly.
Yes.
My pleasure. And Mark and Michelle, when I am in Great Britain, not during the tour itself, but if I get to do some lectures, I would love to meet you guys.
Definitely.
it'd be fantastic. It'd be our pleasure. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. What you've said has been insightful. It really has. Thank you.
So
Cheers.
to the audience, always subscribe, like, and share out. And go over to warrenlegacy.com and check it out. Join
By
the
the way,
foundation.
our YouTube channel just reopened. The Warren Files.
Oh,
So-
good.
Before we came on here, I was looking
Yeah.
at some of that.
Cool. Well,
So
jump
we're-
over there too and subscribe.
Please.
So, blessings, everybody. You have a good night.
Good night.
Thank you.
Good night,
Thank you.
everyone.
Good
Cheers.
night.
Good night.